Since Capcom started remaking many of their early Resident Evil titles, many of the other game developers decided to jump in and show us their old horror games are great too. Granted, it's mostly been Resident Evil, but we did get some really great remakes like Dead Space, Dead Rising, the Lollipop Chainsaw Repop Edition, Resident Evil. Those games have all been great. A lot of the remakes have been really well done, and there's, Alone in the Dark, which I hate. I thought it was trash, but a lot of people seem to like it, so when Konami officially announced that they were remaking Silent Hill 2, it was met with skepticism. How do you remake a game of such prestige? And I was skeptical too. And to be fair, it was well deserved. At the time, many people were very wary of the team attached to it, Team Bloober, and to be fair, it was deserved. Bloober makes horror games, so obviously, I've played Bloober games, and honestly, only one of them I thought were really special. We reviewed it here on the channel, Observer. You find it somewhere up here. I'll put it up there. And not to disparage the Medium. The Medium was a technological masterpiece. That was a fantastic game at a technical standpoint. Not exactly at a. It wasn't a good story. It was fine. The gameplay was fine, but the stuff driving it was all pretty freaking cool. And they really took that experience they had with that and really put it in play here. Really cool. The point is that we had every right to be skeptical of Bloober. And I stayed skeptical personally up till the first character design reveal. And then I was like, yeah, man, I'm in. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and say that I can remember the last time that I played Silent Hill 2, because I can't. Prior to the remake, the last time I played Silent Hill 2 was probably well over 10 years ago when I was playing through all the Silent Hills because the HD remaster collection had just come out. So I played it through that. But it was just a year ago that before the literal game before I started my this whole reviewing thing was Silent Hill 4. And after I finished Silent Hill 4, I was all like, I want to review horror games. And now we're here, full circle. I'm playing Silent Hill 2 now, and I'm gonna do Silent Hill 4 next year. So look forward to that. When Silent Hill 2 released, I put down everything I was working on at the time to pick it up and play it. And I just gotta say, Silent Hill 2 is the best remake I've played so far, and it is among the best horror games I have ever played. So before we begin, I just want to address the controversies, because I'm sure maybe one of you want me to talk about it. I don't care about any of the controversies. If you think it's woke that Maria had a different outfit, you can fuck right off. Straight up. I don't want you here. And if you're upset that Angela was no longer fuckable, go fuck your mother. And if you for 1 second think that this game is woke, you can smoke my cock right here, right now. Fuck off. I don't want you here. And the only controversy that has any value is worth any kind of discussion is the team that was working on Bloober, and that's it. And as I've stated, they've knocked the game out of the park, so it's it's moot. It doesn't matter anymore because they killed it. They've shown us that they are worthy of being able to work on prestigious titles. That's it. No other controversies are worth a damn. They're all trash. If you fall into the category of those oh, it's woke, you can fuck right off. Straight up, you can fuck right off. Anyway, let's start the review. So the gameplay itself is pretty standard fare. It kind of has like Callisto vibes with its combat, and with that I mean I don't mean like it's as intense as Callisto, because Callisto's combat's pretty intense, but it's more like most of the weapons don't do fucking shit. But it's your traditional over-the-shoulder combat. Not just combat, everything's over the shoulder. So you get your combat. Most of the time you'll be beating the crap out of something. You start with the wooden board with nails in it, and you eventually upgrade to the pipe, which is fine. They all do the same stuff. And you get like some basic guns. You get a revolver or a 1911. You get a pistol and then a shotgun later. And it's really not all that much you get. But you can use the pistols and then a shotgun to deal, massive amounts of damage to stuff. But then you won't have any for later. So what I liked to do was I like to shoot enemies in like a weak point, take them down, and then just beat the crap out of them. And if I could, I did the dance. Also, I think there's iframes I'll show you here in this fight with Pyramid Head. It was the first encounter, and I'm the Elden Lord. That was pretty cool. Just dodging his attacks. It was kind of like it is a lot like, yeah, I say Elden Ring, but it's pretty close to what Callisto's combat could have felt like. A little more responsive, a little more active. So it's like Callisto's combat, but good. The movement itself is pretty good. It's nice, and everything's nice and fluid. It's really not much I can say. The movement mechanics are, for the mechanics, over the shoulder, third person horror games. It feels like Silent Hill 2. No other way to put it. It feels like Silent Hill 2. The puzzles are cool. A problem I had was, like, the way I like to play games is if something is obviously the right way to go, I don't want to go that way first, because I want to explore the environments, and so through doing that, I ended up like with all the components I needed to solve the puzzle. And so when I eventually got done with the area, like by the time I got done like exploring all the random nook and crannies, I would go to the place I was supposed to go, and then boom, 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 everything's done. And for me as an explorer type player, that kind of sucked. But there were some really interesting puzzles. I can't think of any off the top of my head. I'll put one here. If I think of one in post. But yeah, the gameplay's fine. So then we move on to like the immersive elements of the game, which, holy shit, I found myself like constantly in a flow state. Like, and that's what a lot of companies want. They want you to enter that flow state. They want you to like experience that total immersion. And this game gave it to me. Like I was wearing headphones here. And it just everything was there. The sound. Let's start with the sound design. Oh my god, their Foley artists are fucking fantastic. So one of the first things I noticed with the sound design, and not a lot of people are gonna notice these things, is like, this is just stuff that, like, if you've seen any of my other reviews, like I'm listening for like weird sounds. For example, Alan Wake American Nightmare, when you open the metal fence, the little fences around people's houses and shit, when you open the metal fence, it has like the wooden door opening and closing sound, which I thought was interesting. So with this, I noticed it very, very early on, right after, like, right when you start the game. I'm walking through mud, and you can hear him step. Like if there's really wet mud, you hear the squish. But if it's like kind of like firmer mud, you hear like a squish, like a thuddier squish. You know what I'm saying? It sounds like when he's walking, it sounds like he's walking on the material he's walking on. Like, in the other world, when he's walking on like the gates, like the gate floors, it sounds like he's walking on gates. When he's walking on asphalt as opposed to concrete, it sounds like those things. When he's walking on like a gravel road, it sounds like he's walking on a gravel. It is so good. The enemy sounds are just disgustingly beautiful. Like, they're so good. Like the little bloater guy. I don't know the names of the enemies. The little bloater guys that like spit at you and shit. They sound so fucking gross. And that's good. You know, you want that in a game like this, man. But the mannequins, you know, once they start, they just it happens. Like you hear them and then boom, you're in combat with them. It was awesome. And then so on top of just like all the sounds, oh, and let's just talk about like obviously Pyramid Head. You know, when he walks around, you know, boom, 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 and then you have the dragging of the fucking blade. It's just, this is what we thought it sounded like when we were teenagers playing this for the first time. Like, absolutely knocked it out of the park. Absolutely. It's one of those moments where, you know, when you're playing, like, for example, you know, I play a lot of Gran Turismo, and what Gran Turismo looks like right now is how I've always, like, over the generations, as I was growing up, this is how I thought the game looked. And this is how Silent Hill 2 sounded to me when I was a kid. It's fantastic. So beyond the sound, you know, you get the world design. Silent Hill is just designed immaculately. Every street meticulously designed. You know, the buildings in the other world, the hallways and the forests and the sewers and the tunnels. Everything is just, everything feels purposefully built, purposefully built and purposefully designed. You know, the way the original game was. And I think that really speaks to how much love and dedication that Bloober team put into this game. And then let's move on to obviously the peak of all of that.
Ambiance.
I'm a big fan of
Ambiance.
like just straight up. I love
Ambiance.
I'm a big fan of ambiance. I can't get enough of this stuff, and the ambiance of this game is just, again, I was constantly in a flow state. I don't know how to describe ambiance, but man, I felt like I was there. It felt like nothing was quite right. Whatever they were trying to make me feel, I felt it in those moments. And god damn, it's so fucking good, y'all. Oh man. So obviously when we're talking about, you know, horror games, one of the big things is, you know, we want to know if it's scary, because, you know, there's a lot of horror games and not all the horror games are scary. But this game had me on edge. Almost all I do is play horror. If you look through the channel, you know, you'll see 99% horror games. Not the exact percent, but like it's almost entire. Like, I review horror games. I play horror games all day. I'm pretty desensitized to horror, you know. And this was just because it wasn't just horror, it was terror. It was visceral. You know, it had more depth to it than just being, ooh, spooky monster, and an allegory of, you know, the spooky monster is an allegory of capitalism gone wrong and forced births and, you know, Ellen Ripley, you know all that. it was just straight up like the themes of the game combined with the world design and the ambiance. It fucking terrifying. From like the second you step out of that car and you start walking, like, even though I know in the early stages of the game nothing was gonna pop out at me, I still felt like something was watching, something was coming. And I felt tremendous unease from start to finish. With like obviously bursts of like fear and terror and just being afraid to turn around a corner or walk into a room. It was great. So the creature designs are fantastic and lend themselves to the horror themes of the game. You got the little bloater guys. I don't know. I'm not going to talk about like what some of these things might represent. I'm just going to talk about like what they are in game and like how they are just horrifying. So these things, they come shambling at you. I don't know what they are. I don't know. They're legs with like a body that's just a sack of flesh. And sometimes they spit at you, and sometimes they try to bite you. And it is just... it's gross. It doesn't make you feel clean. And then there's the mannequins that represent like James's lust, and they just... like lust, they sneak up on you and they attack you and they try to overwhelm you, and they're always trying to sneak it. It's always hiding. It's fucking brutal. And the fucking Pyramid Head, obviously, being a huge lurching enemy that can effectively just one shot you, just chases you around at some point, and that's fucking horrifying because you can't do anything about it. There's nothing you can do. Like, what are you gonna do? Nothing. You're not gonna do anything. And some of the bosses, like obviously Abstract Daddy. Everyone's talking about Abstract Daddy, and I get it. And I don't know how to talk about Abstract Daddy. I will talk about that boss fight real quick. So I don't know how to talk about Abstract Daddy as what he is, what he was. But it was so. What Abstract Daddy represents is absolutely horrifying, terrifying, disgusting. It filled me with rage, so much to the point where I got this footage here. You'll see. This is the only boss fight where I was actively on the hunt. Like, I was not locked in a room with Abstract Daddy. Abstract Daddy was locked in the room with me. I was out for fucking blood. I hated that boss. I hated everything it stood for. And I get why it's there. I do. I get its importance in the story. And I would not take it out for anything. Man. It's fucked up. It's really fucked up. Anyway, I hunted down Abstract Daddy like a little bitch. And I Batmaned him. I doled out vigilante justice the best way I could with guns and a metal pipe. It just is what it is. So the design of the combat on top of like all the other stuff. The combat, because it's everything about the combat is slow. So it imbues in the player a sense of urgency, and it creates an anxiety within the player because you're not attacking fast enough, you're not doing enough damage to anything, and if you use your guns, which can kill things faster, you run out of ammo faster, so then all you'll have left is hitting things, and then it's a balance, and it's anxiety. the combat is an anxious dance, and I loved it. It lended itself well to the horror themes and elements in the game. On top of that, the design of the other world was fucking awesome. The way I wished it was more of an active change, like in the movies where it just while you're walking, it happens. But a lot of the time, it's you get knocked out and you wake up in the other world, and it's the same place you were just in, but it's dilapidated and rusted and falling apart, and things. All the environment that you just spent all that time memorizing is the same, but a little bit different. And the puzzles in the other world, I thought they were fantastic. I had a lot of fun with the other world puzzles. And then we loop back to, the sound design, which, god damn. Obviously sound design plays a huge part into what makes a game scary, but this is just they took notes from the Dead Space remake. You can tell. It is stupendous. It is every footstep in a quiet hallway, the music, the lack of music, which is one of my favorite parts. The sounds of the buildings creaking in the wind, the enemies just shambling through the hallways. You can hear them around the corner, and you're like, it is awesome. It is probably one of the scariest games I have played in a long time. I say in a long time, but right after I played this, I played Resident Evil 7 in VR, and that was fucking crazy. That was horrifying too, but that's for another time. Anyway, so let's move on. The story of Silent Hill. Many historians before me have told the actual story, and I'm not gonna go into I don't want to sit here and write a research paper just to talk about how cool I thought a game was, but it was cool. So the story of Silent Hill is James gets a letter from his assumed dead wife, and she's all like, "Oh, I'm in my special place, our special place in Silent Hill. Please come get me." And James is basically just like, "I bet," and he goes to Silent Hill. While he's there, he meets Angela, Eddie, Laura, and Maria. Right? And so the reason why James is in Silent Hill to begin with is because he's looking for his dead wife. I'm gonna put double, because it's all she's dead, but he's she's dead, and the game's she's dead, right? So he's there looking for her, and so what's actually happening in Silent Hill is that he is basically being tortured by himself. That's what Silent Hill does. Silent Hill tortures you with your own thoughts and machinations, and so he's fighting the manifestations of his guilt, because spoiler alert, he killed his wife. He killed his wife a couple years ago, and which is why it's strange to him that he got the letter, and he'd been suffering from the guilt because he killed her, but she was also super sick on her deathbed, and she wanted to die, and she was like, "Kill me," and he was all like, "I'm gonna, but it's because you're fucking mean and I hate you now." So he was living with the guilt because he killed her not to help her, but because he hated her, which is what she wanted anyways. But still, the guilt is what manifests all the enemies for him, and it goes for all the other characters too, except for Laura, which I'm not going to talk about Laura, but James is like all his guilt, his repressed feelings, they all manifest as different enemies types. You know, his repressed lust is the mannequins, and you got his desire to want to kill himself and a desire to die, which is Pyramid Head. And then you have, like, you know, his last wishes, the last thing when his wife was on her deathbed, you know, what he wanted her to be, which is Maria. Which, great segue. Let's talk about Maria a little bit. I'm not gonna get into the trenches with this. I just want to talk about Maria a little bit because I think she's worth talking about. So Maria, who is she and what is she? Maria is born of Silent Hill. She was created the second that James pulled into Silent Hill. She is a manifestation of everything he wanted from his wife. He wanted a wife who was hot and slutty and served cunt and just basically worshipped him. That's what he wanted. So my playthrough was basically me just like denying Maria all that she wanted, and that's what she wanted. She was literally born, created to love James, and through the entire game, you know, you watch that love literally kill her over and over again. So you got what, like the first death, she shows back up in that prison, and you know, it's a completely different person. She goes from being like kind of like her own little happy-go-lucky person, like just living the life of being alive for the first time, trying to get his attention, to just being like, I'll be what you want. What do you want me to be, James? I'll do it. I'll be it. You know, because she's died and she had to be recreated, and because it's being recreated, it's becoming more desperate as he's getting closer to the end of his journey. So her whole deal is that, like, she wants to love James. It's what she was made. She was born this, not like literally born, but she was created the second James walked into Silent Hill. She was created solely to love James, to want James, to want to be with James, to be everything James could ever want. And he rejects her. And it's the only life she knows. The only thing she knows in life is to love James. She doesn't know anything else. And, you know, at the end, for the leave ending, you know, you reject. She becomes married for James because that's what she thinks that he wants. But by the time James gets to that point, James is like, you know, full acceptance. Like, yeah, she's dead. It's like, I have to move on. I have to move forward. And she's like, no, I've spent my entire existence, you know, the whole, like, what, a couple hours, but still very intense, a few hours. Because again, the only thing she knows is loving James, and that is her objective, is be whatever James wants to be. And so she literally became the thing that he wanted through the entire game, and he still rejected her, and it fucking broke her to the point where she transforms into, you know, the Maria monster, and she has to be killed, and it fucking sucks. It's like, she didn't deserve that, and also James didn't deserve to, like, have to deal with that either. It's not his fault that Silent Hill manifested her. but she didn't. She still doesn't deserve like that. Like she doesn't deserve that ending. Like she doesn't. I'm not saying necessarily she needed to be with James, but it's just she didn't deserve that, right? And on not deserving something, let's talk about Angela, because fuck, man, Angela. Angela deeply resonated with me, like deeply. I love Angela, not like, oh, I love you, like I love her as a character. She's so full of depth and so much potential, and she suffered through so much abuse by the hands of her own father and her own brother, and potentially the men at her work when she was a waitress. And like, how do you go about life after your own father has raped you? You know, how do you go about existing? What kind of life is that? And then to be told by your own mother that you deserve it. Your father and your brother. Just so one day she lost it, as one would, and she killed her father and her brother. Deservedly so. And her mother repeated the whole thing. You deserved what they did to you, and so Angela left, and she ended up in Silent Hill, looking for the mother. I'm not entirely sure what happened to her mother. She may have just died of old age. She never finds her mother, but she killed her brother and her father, and she carried that guilt, and we watched that guilt eat her alive while we're in Silent Hill, and it is just I know that Silent Hill isn't judge, jury, and executioner. It just brings to life our deepest, darkest pains. But Angela still didn't deserve that. Angela didn't deserve any of it. And I get that she felt tremendous guilt, and I would have given anything to help her find her way, to help give her the tools she needs to move forward. Because Angela didn't deserve it. Angela doesn't deserve that. Angela doesn't deserve anything that she experienced in Silent, especially not fucking having to like relive through that fear and that terror of being chased by her father through the hallways of her house, only having the tiniest of places to be safe and hide with her teddy bears. And it's just Angela didn't deserve that. Angela didn't deserve it at all. It's a good moment in the game. Don't get me wrong. But me as a person, like person to person, Angela didn't deserve any of what Silent Hill gave her. She did it to herself, but she didn't deserve it. She deserved love. She deserved acceptance and kindness and help. She deserved to like be able to trust men and trust her family. Angela. So, Silent Hill 2, the remake, it's fantastic, man. It's stupendous. It's a return to form for horror survival. It's truly spectacular and magnificent, and I'm literally eating in this era. I'm having a great time with all the horror games we have coming. It's stupendous. It's a sheer improvement over the original. We asked, oh, how can you improve such a game? Well, they did. They thoroughly did. Not to mention like all the the crazy fucking like now confirmed fan theories like it's Silent Hill 2 remake isn't even much a remake but a sequel. Like what's up with that? He's been looping this entire time, from the original game to now. It's all just been a constant loop for James, and that is the fucking craziest shit to me. That is so fucking insane. It's so well done. Bloober really just, God, I will play whatever game they release from this point forward. Straight up. They have my attention. Also, they got rid of tank controls, which fuck tank controls. I hate them. I hate tank controls. I mean, you've seen my. No, you probably didn't. My Alone in the Dark review. I'll put that one right here. I talk thoroughly about how much I hate tank controls, and all these remakes, omitting tank controls makes them much more playable for me. I don't enjoy tank controls. You won't convince me that tank controls are good. You're welcome to try it out in the comments, but I don't like tank controls. I really don't. Anyway, horror survival is back, and it's pretty fucking great. I can't believe we got a Silent Hill 2 remake that's like a near perfect recreation of it before we got Grand Theft Auto 6. How fucking fantastic is that? Anyway, so one of the big things, we talk about here is it worth your time? Is it worth your money? Yeah, even right now at full price, it is a spectacular piece of art, and it is worth every fucking penny. Every penny. It is stupendous. I played it on my PC. It was about 16 or so hours that I ran through it. My computer runs AMD Ryzen 7 5700X with a 7800 XT. When streaming, which I was streaming the game, obviously, I wasn't able to push it to its max. But I was still on ultra. Mostly, I was on ultra, no ray tracing. That was the graphical setting I had. There was some weird stuff going on in the buildings, but it's fine. It's probably all worked out now. The game is gorgeous. It's almost as gorgeous as Alan Wake 2. This game deserves to be put on a pedestal. A pedal stool. Anyway, this is the review. Thanks for watching. Got a couple more for the year coming out. Thank you so much for watching. Slosh out.